Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the full board for community mental health for March 23rd, 2022. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the reading of the mission statement by Nick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our mission, Macomb County Community Mental Health, guided by the values, strengths, and informed choices of the people we serve, provides quality services which promote recovery, community participation, self-sufficiency, and independence.
Thank you, Nick. Next item is adoption of the agenda. I'll take a motion to adopt with one change. We are going to remove item M, which is the request to approve the MedVersant contract. It is still pending legal review. So I will take a motion to adopt the agenda.
Support.
Linda and Antoinette, questions, comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Agenda is adopted. Next is item 4, hearing of the public. Anybody wishing to speak, you have 5 minutes. It's for any item on this agenda. Give us your name and address. There's also a second hearing of the public at the end of the meeting for any item you wish to speak on. Anybody for? Come on up. Give us your name and address.
Hi, my name is Nancy Worthman, and I'm the director over at Liberties. My address is 42284 Parkside Circle, and that's in Sterling Heights. I'm here to provide information and to give you an update on Liberties. First of all, I started in January of 2021, and at that time there were 3 employees. Well, there were 5 employees. 2 of them had left within a week. We now have 7 employees. Our membership for our north branch, we had 3 people on an average a day when I first started. We now have 18. At south, we had 3 on an average, and now we have 12. So far, I've managed to honor and not exceed our budget. I've been under approximately about $3,000 a month. We are in the process of renewing our 501c3, and my goal is to present to CMH quarterly, and we're looking to start a newsletter. We don't know if we're going to do it quarterly or monthly yet, but I just wanted to give you an update. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public? Anyone else? All right, nobody's jumping up. We will close hearing of the public and move on to item 5. Take a motion to approve minutes of the CMH full board meeting on February 23rd, 2022.
Motion to approve. Support.
Motion from Lori, support from Linda. Nick, go ahead.
I see that distributed at our places is the list of the definition of all other services, and I noted in the draft meeting there was a statement of my request for that to be included in the minutes. Will this list be included in the minutes?
It's on your desk.
Pardon me?
It's on your desk. There's a list of what all other.
Yeah,
services
I know it's on my desk, but will it be included in the minutes as approved?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Very
Yep.
good. I just say that because, as I said, the public reading them may get the impression that we were raising our own salaries or something else. This tells them specifically, and I wanted that included in the minute
Yep, it will be.
for clarity purposes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Any other questions, comments on the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed? Minutes are approved. We'll move on to item 6A, approval of the minutes of the CMH Board Program and Budget Committee meeting on March 9th, 2022, and we will do approval of the minutes of the CMH Board Personnel Committee meeting on March 11th, 2022.
Motion to approve. Support.
Motion from Lori, support from Dana, I think. Questions, comments on either of those minutes? Nick, go ahead.
I was absent at those 2 meetings, so I'll abstain.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes with Nick abstaining. We will move on to item 7, request to approve, and we will start with item A, which is new. Request approval allowing the CEO to move forward with the plan presented at the Personnel Committee meeting in conjunction with County HR. Take a motion to approve.
So moved. Support.
Motion from Dana, support from Lori. Questions, comments? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we'll lump together items 7B through O. Take a motion to approve those items that were discussed at program and budget.
So moved.
Oh, come on.
Support.
Motion from Antoinette, support from Lori. All right. Questions, comments? You guys are killing me. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Item 8, receive and file. We have no items for that. Item 9 is resolutions. No items there either. And we'll move on to item 10. Take a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
Support.
Motion from Linda, support from Ryan. Question on that item. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Bills are paid. On to the management report. Richard is not here, but Ken is.
Know everybody's excited.
Very excited. Take it away, Ken.
Okay. Everyone should have our usual monthly finance report here. Start on page 2 with some of the highlights. As it has been for a while, revenue and eligibles continue to be high as long as the state of emergency is in place. We expect that to continue at 6 months after the state of emergency ends. So that trend is likely to continue. At this point, we're projecting at least into the summer, probably towards the end of fiscal '22. Page 3 has our comparatives for balance sheet items. Nothing terribly noteworthy here. We do have an increased cash amount as a result of those revenues, and that position is projected to be high again this year. Page 4 speaks to some of the things that I've already said. We have a higher capitation revenue. There are some things on here that are timing differences that I'll highlight. Revenues in the top graph there, we simply haven't received that transfer from the county at this point, so that's why it's 0 for fiscal '22, but we fully expect to get that by the end of the year. So,
Quick question. When does that transfer normally take place?
so
Or is it
for
sporadic?
it is sporadic, so they kind of do it quarterly. Right now, we're waiting on even fiscal '21's, so we have it booked back into the right fiscal year, but we actually are still waiting for fiscal '21 as well, so. Again, net income expected to be high. Page 5 gives the breakdown by program. You can see the Medicaid and autism combined, we're running about a $20 million surplus through January. Healthy Michigan's around $5 million, and state GF is at $2.3 million. So, again, the result of those high revenues, and likely lapsing back dollars to the state at the end of this fiscal year as well. Page 6 just gives some further detail on our balance sheet. I don't think there's anything here that should be surprising. Richard did mention last meeting, there was a question about accrued payroll. There were some dollars there. I think a better caption for that would have been due to the county. So it's just cash that the county has already paid our employees and we need to reimburse them for that. So it wasn't due to any particular person, just the county. So those transfers are occurring, but I wanted to mention that as well. Page 7. Again, this takes a deeper dive into income statement activities. I don't think there should be anything surprising here. I will note that investment income, that is another timing issue with the county where we have it as 0 on that line. We just haven't had that allocation received yet. Those dollars tend to be somewhat small in the grand scheme of our revenues. So certainly by the end of the fiscal year, have that recorded in there as well. Page 8 starts the budget to actual statements. So it shows, page 8 has the mental health fund. We're showing a $65 million surplus there. And page 9 shows the substance abuse fund with a $15 million surplus. And then finally, page 10 and 11 are our top 10 providers. I think they're pretty consistent month over month. A couple of them might change positions, but there's not a lot of change there. So that's the report. Happy to take questions or concerns or.
Linda, go ahead.
Well, it's March when we talk about lapsing for this year, so I know personally when I have extra revenues, I tend to figure out how to spend them, but I don't have to give them back to anybody. We don't want to lapse funds if we can't. So if it's a large amount, then we need large projects. Last year we tried to, Dave did a great job, Dave and staff did a great job pulling people in, telling the vendors, you know, if you need a refrigerator, but we need to maybe think of some big thing if it's a big amount of money that would be lapsed. We had a member we've had people from the public come and address that from last year, and it's just not where we want to go, and it is March, so there is some time.
Sure, yeah.
And extra revenue is a good problem to have, but.
Yeah, it's not a bad problem, and it's so high compared to what's sustainable, I think, long-term after it's over. But you're absolutely right that ideally we wouldn't send anything back to the state. I know we're working on a lot of the special projects with the providers. I think a lot of that will be general fund lapse. So those are kind of unique and, you know, can't be billed under Medicaid necessarily. I expect the rate increases that were approved to take a chunk out of that lapse as well. I think we projected 10 million for residential and then around 5, if I remember correctly, for the other codes. So doing some of those things to try to address that issue as well. I think.
Excuse me, but the projects that we got last year didn't make much of an impact because of the size. So, you know, I would hope we think bigger. And I understand you have Medicaid restrictions, and but.
Yeah, and that's the biggest chunk of it. I think last year it was 85% of our lapse was Medicaid. So that's the biggest piece. Healthy Michigan makes up most of the rest of it, and then a little bit from general fund. So it is, I mean, we actively talk about it every Wednesday, so.
We do have, we continue to communicate to our providers about the availability of being creative, asking us for us to consider ways of helping them on the financial side. On the special projects, there was a little delay from the ones that were approved because they have to go through the contracting process. But we did approve the one for CEO, and I think there's 1 or 2 more coming out that still have to go through this process. We continue the provider stability payments. We're doing, I work with Connie on the homeless outreach is now all general fund. We let the HUD grant go and doubled her budget with the opportunity to go over and above that as well. So we are, we continue to be as creative as we can. The rates going through, we're still looking at the codes for the psychiatric services for a possible rate increase. And then I have another update from our meeting with the Provider Alliance and stuff as well. So we're in active conversations with our provider network, and we're as flexible as we can be. But yeah, the revenue is definitely higher than ever before.
Yes.
Linda, you all set? Ryan and then Nick.
Just building on Linda's question, I noticed on the statement of net position, and I've asked this before, but we have current assets and non-current assets, but I don't see, and we have current liabilities. Do we have any non-current liabilities?
No. We don't hold any long-term debt or anything like that. We do have, I don't know that I would call them long-term liabilities. We have pension and OPEB. They're accounting liabilities that the county kind of handles. They show up in our funds. But even so, those, I wouldn't consider those long-term liabilities necessarily.
Are they our former employees that would fall under that?
Could be current and former employees. It's basically the unfunded amount.
Right.
Or what we owe for the
Are we
pension
precluded
overtime.
from contributing to that?
No, contributions are still ongoing.
I mean, if we wanted to, say, contribute more to our OPEB liability or contribute more to our pension liability, are we able to do that with?
No, not
Okay.
with Medicaid. dollars.
Not with
We
Medicaid,
can't,
yeah.
so-
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Ryan. Nick?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the additional money, a lot of it's one time, which is problematic, of course, but there's more likely to be appropriated. The legislature has held back some of the federal dollars, some of which should come to community mental health, I suspect will, so there may be even more. But I do want to make sure that the public understands that we're not talking about spending money just to spend money, that there's been a lot of need that has not been met as a result of underfunding over the years, and that's the appropriate use of this dollars. The one-time money certainly on projects that have been sitting around for a long time and haven't been able to come before us because of serious financial problems and the long-term problems in terms of the rates and so forth that have been underfunded for years. So I don't want somebody to get the impression that we're just trying to spend money for the sake of spending money. These are desperately needed funds in a number of areas.
Yeah, recently the state, has, it's called the ARPA grant, used to cover non-Medicaid individuals in the CCBHC program. So it was a fairly small grant, but there are some dollars coming through from the state that are ultimately federal dollars as well. So try to take advantage of that for anything we can that's unique or would help the community as well. So.
Nick, you all set? Thanks, Nick. Anyone else? Questions for Ken? Comments? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to the CEO update.
Well, picking up on that conversation, and thank you, Ken. Yeah, all the requests for any additional funding, it does go through it's scrutinized. Make sure we do have money available, that it's coming out of the right funding bucket, and that it is a benefit to our community. We just have a little bit more flexibility than ever. The YMCA memberships with the ARC is kind of the best classic example of that. We are also adding providers as quickly as we can find them in some areas, and doing our best, to be good stewards of the public funds and to spend that appropriately. I did meet with the Provider Alliance, great group of people. I've stressed the staff shortages. And really, again, can't thank the providers enough and the staff who are out there every day getting the job done and helping people. They do share information. A number of them work in other regions and counties. And some of the other regions have a little bit more flexibility as far as special payments that are going out. So we are reviewing that internally for, especially on the residential side, there still appears to be some differences, but we've definitely closed that gap. So we are working on a communication. We met, as Ken said, we meet every Wednesday at 10:30. Some additional work in that area as well to help our providers out. I met with the CAC on the 15th, another really nice group of people. We have new members, which is good. And since we have a crowd here, there's a little bit more room on CAC if anybody's interested. That's our Citizens Advisory Council. A lot of conversations going on about the reorganization at the state level that was implemented on the 21st of this month. So there's scheduled follow-up communication through the Community Mental Health Association and then through the PIHP group as well. We have to, reconnect, reestablish our communication leads back to the department for the various projects and areas, which are numerous. So there's those changes that we're dealing with as well. Kathleen's here, but Linda sent me a text that she had heard the radio spot, which is very nice. That's our very own Jasmine. Her voice is replacing mine, which is very welcome. And just before I came over here today, looked at a TV spot that'll be going out. The billboards will be going up and things like that. So I wanted to bring that to your attention and to thank you very much for you guys approving that project to help us, get the word out to the community as best as we can. We met Monday as the leadership team. Adam's our point person for that. It's our strategic planning. We did a kind of a reset and we're focusing on going 2 years out. So you can recall we do 90-day projects and year-long initiatives, but we're actually extending that out because of the numerous changes that are going on. So the NCQA, which Stacy is in compliance and quality, will be leading up. We have that 2-year work plan that lends itself very well to a 2-year project. It will have those 90-day goals, periods attached to it. We will be communicating that out to all of our staff and encouraging staff participation and involvement at all levels. The access, of course, continues. We are working with MTM, which is a national consulting group on same-day access. The whole intent is to streamline that process, which will help on the administrative side, on our side, but also the person's experience who's trying to get help from us. And they've have a great track record nationally. It's going to be a change to our system, but a needed change and one that fits very well with our CCBHC efforts. So that'll be one of our 2-year initiatives with the 90-day components to that. Then we, of course, wanted to focus on the people we serve and putting people first. So I'll be working with Mark from Rights and kind of a focus, it'll be multi-pronged, but pretty much centered around the person-centered planning process. And there'll be some training components to that and then ripple effects that we'll be focusing on for the next 2 years. And then, of course, again, we want to recognize and value our staff and all the work that they're doing. So Tracy, as Chief of Staff, and the team member engagement process, we're going to be looking at that as our fourth two-year initiative. So we'll be developing specific metrics for each of those areas, and I'll be sharing that, or Adam will be sharing that with the board and be going out in our staff newsletters and stuff, and you guys will be seeing those going forward as well. So that's my update for tonight.
Thanks, Dave. Questions, comments for Dave? Nothing? All right. Get off easy tonight. Ken did all the heavy lifting today. All right, next we will move on to a few reminders. Our next program and budget will be Wednesday, April 13th at 6 p.m. here. We will have a recipient rights advisory committee meeting Thursday, April 21st at the new office. And then our full board will be Wednesday, April 27th at 6 p.m. here. Also for board members and CAC, there's an invitation at your spot for board members. Next week, 5:30 to 6:30, we get to check out the new administrative office, which I got to take a quick peek, and it's really cool. TJ did a nice job. I'm giving him a lot of credit for this one. Nick, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to give a brief update to the board on the legislation that we've been following. I had a conversation on Monday with Alan Bolter and have talked with several other people. So that kind of goes into this discussion, as the members of the board know, because I should know because I sent out an email. The Shirkey proposal did move from general orders to third reading, which is a step closer to passage, but that was done on a voice vote and is essentially a procedural move. There still are not the votes, as near as we can all tell, for passage. As far as the Macomb delegation is concerned, Senator Voino and Senator McDonald have both committed to no votes. Unfortunately, Senator Voino, as Senator Wozniak has indicated that he is shifting his position from no to yes, so anyone who has influence with him, please try to let him know the arguments and the concerns we all have about that particular package. In terms of the Senate is only in tomorrow and then out for the following 2 weeks. We don't expect any action on the Senate at this time. We do believe that the Senator Shirkey still does not have the votes. The Democratic caucus has held firmly in opposition at this point. The Republican caucus is split. There are, as I said, Senator McDonald, for instance, and several others who are not in favor of passage, and I don't believe that the Senate will take a vote until Senator Shirkey believes he has the votes for passage. Over on the House side, there have also been new developments. There was a meeting last Thursday of the Health Policy Committee, and Senator Whiteford's package was again taken up. There were substitutes adopted, but nothing reported from committee. I've glanced through those substitutes and will try to give a more complete report by email as to what's in them, as well as get you all copies of those subs by email. Most of the changes were, I think, pretty much positive from, at least from my perspective, and I expect you will agree, as they're recipient orientated. The changes on the ASO are controversial and continue to be controversial. There were some positive changes limiting the ASO's ability, but there continues to be problems, I think, in the wording of what's there, although Senator Whiteford did a good job of trying to define things better in these substitutes than in the original bills. The division on among the PIHPs Bolter reminded me that the impact of the ASO is different for the metro region than for the rest of the state, and that's causing some internal discussions. I'm sure will continue along the line of those issues. For those of us in the metro region, because we contract directly with the department for both Medicaid and for general funds in two separate contracts, because we're a combined CMH, SP, PIHP, The change that we would have is that we would probably be contracting with this ASO, and that's problematic. So you'd actually be adding a layer of bureaucracy in this region, but for the rest of the state, you'd eliminate the by eliminating the PIHPs and replacing it with an ASO, you'd have one less layer of bureaucracy, I guess, or maybe the same level of bureaucracy. So that's still controversial and still needs a lot of work, although Representative Whiteford and both the chair and the Democratic vice chair have been working together and are open to comments, and will continue to make those as they come along through the state association, who testified on the bills last Thursday as well.
Thanks for the update, Nick. Yep, House is in tomorrow, I think. I don't know, they're still there. They were supposed to be out hours ago, and when I left, they were still hanging around. Most of them are in our office, so they will be there late tonight, tomorrow, off for 2 weeks, then on for a week, and then off for a week. April is a mess. So thanks for the update, Nick. If nobody has anything else, I would, Linda, go ahead.
I think I discussed this with you, that at the next meeting, the people who were reappointed will be sworn in. Were you going to say that, Phil? Oh, darn. Well, go ahead.
Well, first I was going to congratulate Megan, Dana, Linda, and Ryan on your reappointments. Congratulations. And we have a new member joining us starting next month, Brian Zajac. And so I wanted to congratulate you all. Yes, you will all be sworn in at Program and Budget. Clerk Forlini is supposed to be here. So that's all set up and ready for you guys. Thank you, Sandy. Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to hearing of the public. Anybody from the public? Come on down, Sean.
Good evening. My name is Sean. I'm with Creative Empowerment Opportunities, just to give our monthly report. For March, our Anchorville location attended the movies. They made cookies, cupcakes, and other treats. At Clinton Township, they made arts and crafts related to St. Patrick's Day. They made casseroles and pizzas for during cooking class, and also attended the movies. At our Mount Clemens location, they helped deliver Meals on Wheels. Over at Washington, they had over 180 Meals on Wheels delivered. Their second annual breakfast with the Easter Bunny is this Saturday, and they also had 2 more persons served return. At all of our locations, CEO will be attending the Shrine Circus next week. They hosted various parties and free meals in recognition of St. Patrick's Day. CEO is also looking forward to finally doing more activities outside, enjoying the nice spring weather. And then finally, as well, thank you for approving the service expansion. That's just really great towards our person served. So thank you and have a good night.
Thanks, Sean. Anyone else from the public? Bruce is thinking about it. All right, we will close the hearing of the public, and I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion from everybody, support from everybody, all in favor? We are adjourned. Have a good night, everybody. Drive safe in the storm.